Welcome back. We're getting some breaking news out of the state of Indiana, where court has ordered that documents in the Richard Allen case be unsealed, and that has just occurred within the last few minutes, and we are now learning that Richard Allen apparently has admitted to killing Abby German and Libby German and Abby as well. Here's what we know. This motion, a part of this that has just been unsealed, says the following. He admits it to his wife. This is what it says. On April 3rd, 2023, so this April, Richard Allen made a phone call to his wife, Kathy Allen. In that phone call, Richard Allen admits several times that he killed Abby and Libby. Investigators had the phone call transcribed, and the transcription confirms that Richard M. Allen admits that he committed the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German. He admits several times within the phone call that he committed the offenses as charged. His wife, Kathy Allen, ended the phone call abruptly. You remember this case took place in February of 2017. It was a mystery for so long who killed these two little girls in Delphi, Indiana, and now we understand that the defendant, Richard Allen, admitted to his wife on the telephone while being incarcerated in April of this year to these horrific murders. This has been the subject of podcasts, documentaries, down the hill. Remember those words that the individual on that video, which was captured by Libby on her cell phone. It made all the difference in this case, and now we know that Richard Allen apparently has admitted to it and admitted to his wife that he was the person responsible. Still with us, homicide detective Phil Waters. He's in Hawaii. He served as a homicide detective in Houston, Texas for many years, and Rachel Kaufman in Atlanta, Georgia. Phil, he's in jail, and apparently he ends up letting his wife and family off the hook, if you will, by admitting to these horrible crimes, because you can imagine what she was going through, what his family was going through, thinking there's no way this guy, our loved one, could be responsible for something so heinous. But according to the state, according to this phone call, which was recorded, he admitted it. We'll get Rachel's opinion, but from a law enforcement opinion, this is significant.
It is, absolutely. Rachel, were you talking to Rachel?
No, to you, Phil, first, and then we'll get Rachel.
Okay. I will tell you that is good stuff for a homicide detective, that kind of thing, where you have a person making an admission, especially over a recorded jail line, to a family member or to whomever. That's priceless. That's an affirmative link that cannot be denied. He's not being in an interview room. He's not talking to law enforcement. He's not talking to anybody that would have any particular leaning in the case. He's just talking to a family member, talking to his wife here, and he comes down and he starts making these admissions. And he's like many of the people that I've talked to in the interview room. Once they get it out that first time, then they can't keep their mouths shut, and they'll repeatedly talk about how sorry they were sometimes, and so forth and so on, but make those admissions. So that's powerful stuff.
Rachel, this doesn't mean it's over by any stretch, because there's an underlying theme here that the defense has been arguing for months, and that is that he is being held in this horrible, conditioned institution where he's in a room with apparently the conditions are horrible, and they're going to argue that this shouldn't come in because he was under stress and whatever. You know the argument's coming, right? If you're defending him, you have to keep this out any way you can. And what would we expect maybe from the defense?
I mean, maybe they could argue that he was impaired, but you know, the thing with these jail calls that really get these people, it tells you that it's being recorded. And I don't know, I mean, some of them are very vain, so I'm surprised that they think that no one's going to be listening to it. But they listen to it, and they listen to it, and they hear what they hear. I guess the defense, ultimately it's up to the defendant how he wants to handle his case. So if he's coming to terms finally with the fact that he committed these crimes years ago and is finally getting it out, he may want to plead guilty. In that case, they don't need to keep anything out because he's just going to plead guilty. But if now he's going to say that he never said that or he meant something different, yeah, I mean, the defense is up for a fight. Part of me feels like he did that because there's more, maybe not only to this story, but there's, like a larger criminal enterprise at play here.
Which
and
was
maybe he hopes that.
Yeah, when the initial press conference came in, everything was real hush-hush, but the prosecutor did say that they were continuing to investigate, and if anyone else was involved, they were going to track them down. Phil, do some people just say, listen, all right, you got me, and I do want this off my chest because I've been living with this for years, and I'm ashamed, and I admit it, I did it.
Yes, I mean, that's true. It happens. I had a case where a guy came in after a year and walked in and gave a full confession. So it does happen sometimes when you have somebody that, especially this prolonged, I mean, this happens, 13 years ago, I think. This has been eating away at this guy for a long time, and he's finally come to the realization that he's caught. And so he's got some sense of conscience, I guess, left. And now once like I said, once these guys say that first, I did it, you can't shut them up. So it kind of becomes cathartic for them to continue to make the admission.
Yeah, and it's his wife he's talking to, and she, I'm sure, is trying to support him. And that adds another layer. It was 2017 when the girls were murdered, so it's been 6 years, but still a long time. Rachel, go ahead. You were about to say something.
No, so I was saying, I mean, from the beginning, the investigators were talking about how their suspect that he was likely hiding in plain sight and that he was likely someone who lived in the area. And so you just imagine what this man for these 6 years or 5 years before he became incarcerated, just like he wasn't able to verbally process what he did, and that he had to hide. That's a lot of energy put into lying and tiptoeing around and lying to yourself. So I agree. I mean, at this point, it's going to be very difficult for him to now say, I didn't say that or I didn't do that. When he's admitting to his wife, it's not like he's in a homicide detective's office being grilled by 6 homicide detectives. He's casually having a conversation with his wife on the phone that he knows is recorded.
Right,
So
he's admitting it to someone he loves, not being forced into it by people like Phil with the white light. This is different. We need to take a break.
I don't force anybody. Into anything.
I know. I'm just joking. You're a legend. We already talked about that. We need a break here as we approach the top of the hour. Rachel, Phil, thank you as always. We're going to get a break in here. We're going to pick up our coverage from Florida, Texas, and now Indiana. And to do that, we turn to Judge Ashley Wilcott.
Hey, Ted, always great to see you. We're going to see what happens. We've got live trial coverage in Texas, also waiting on that verdict in the Scott Peterson case. We're at 12 hours, 41 minutes, a very long time of deliberations. Stay tuned. We'll bring you all the latest. Court TV, your front row seat to justice.